meeting is being recorded. All right, again, so good evening, everyone. Again, this is Denyel Fonseca with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, and I am the Hyde Park Liaison. Thank you all for joining us. I'm here tonight to facilitate the statutory required cannabis community outreach. This is an application by Lowkey Cultivation, LLC for cultivation use to be operated at the address of 48 to 54 Walter Street in Hyde Park. So before we get started, I would like to go over my expectation for tonight's meetings. Having participated in multiple meetings of this kind, I know that it can be a sensitive topic, and I want to make it clear that no decisions are being made tonight, and at no time will it be acceptable to be disrespectful to anyone during this meeting. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. There is no right or wrong opinion. We are all here tonight to try to collect as many comments and questions for this proposal. I am not here to facilitate debates amongst neighbors or relitigate state legislation. I ask that all questions be directed toward the applicant and myself only. The applicant will answer questions related to the proposal to the best of their ability, and I will answer questions specific to the city process. If they're unable to answer any questions this evening, we will follow up with you after the meeting to get that information to you. This is an open comment period, which means that if you are not called on tonight, or if you think of questions after this meeting that have not been answered, all you need to do is to reach out to one of us, and we will work on getting you that information. And again, my contact information has been included on the flyer that you all received for attending this meeting tonight. There will be no questions that take place during the applicant's presentation. That will be, again, afterwards at the Q&A portion, at which point I will go over my expectations again. But again, to reiterate, this is not a debate on the legalization or morality of marijuana. That debate occurred at the ballot box, and we are here today because it was overwhelmingly supported in the city of Boston. So again, the applicant is going to go through their presentation in a timely manner, and the remainder of the time is going to be for orderly question and answers. Thank you for taking this time, again, to participate in this meeting. And now, Jeff, whenever you are ready, you can take over, and I'm going to give you the ability to share your screen as well to be presenter.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Also, Danielle, can you make Mark Conrad a presenter?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for flagging that.
No problem.
Awesome. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep, perfect.
Yes, awesome. So want to get started. So presenters is Jeff Similian. Me, I have my partner Rob, Mike Breas, and also Mark Conrad as well. So this is Lowkey Cultivation Community Outreach Presentation. This is the first step in the licensing process. The process is to meet with the community to make a presentation to introduce the community on who we are. I'm Jeff Similian, the founder and CEO of Lowkey Cultivation. I'm a Hyde Park resident, Boston Public student. I went to West Roxbury High School, so on and so forth, then went on to Curry College. Currently a real estate broker, which is how I got into this industry. Basically just, MSOs, businesses and calling me and interested in coming to Massachusetts, which, me being a commercial broker gave me a leg up on understanding and also having a business background, understanding the process and, being able to dive in and, getting this thing started. Me and my partner, Rob, I'll let Rob introduce himself before we go into the team a little bit. Rob?
Thanks, Jeff. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having us on tonight. My name is Robert Nichols. I was born and raised in the city of Boston. I'm a Boston Public School graduate from the John D. O'Brien class of '99. And upon graduating, I worked in retail for Stop & Shop for many years. I worked my way up from store level assistant manager to corporate procurement buyer over the course of 8 years. And then I transitioned to real estate back in 2008, and I've been doing real estate ever since. Jeff tugged on me to get into the cannabis industry. And initially, I wasn't really even thinking about entering the space. But Jeff, being persistent as he is, really convinced me that, you know, it really was aligned with our values with the real estate to really empower folks of color in the city of Boston, and anyone for that matter who had drive and determination and who was hungry to get into business, to get into real estate. And we felt that the cannabis industry offered the same opportunities in a much larger scale. And we were super excited to be able to do this. And, you know, our business experience really is what allowed us to be able to transition from just being in the real estate and to diversify and get into cannabis and do something positive with this industry that's plagued the Black community and the community of color for many years in the city of Boston. So we're really excited about changing the narrative and really creating something positive to better the lives of the folks who we work with and bettering our city as a whole.
Awesome. Thank you, Rob. Also, we have Mike Brace on this call, Vice President of Wholesale. Mark Conrad, who's the owner of West Gone Security, who's also on the call, have opportunity to speak as well. Our CEO, Felix, I'm not sure if he's on the call, zoning attorney, our legal consultant, Sankeetha, our compliance officer, Azina, I'm sure she's on the call as well. We retain the services of a hiring agency to help us recruit and actually do some hiring. Again, our goal is to, you know, provide jobs and opportunities in the community. So we are working with a HR firm and also hiring consulting group to help with that. And then we're also working with Mass Cultivated, which, you know, provide opportunities and help people transition into the job fair. Who we are, again, as Rob just mentioned, you know, we are, you know, a couple of guys from the community, you know, commercial real estate agents, real estate brokers, you know, looking to make a transition, looking to provide opportunities in the city of Boston. So currently we are working on a 3 location in the city of Boston. We have 1 location already approved in Dorchester, where we are currently under construction. We also have a community meeting coming up for a 2nd location in West Roxbury, and 1 downtown as well. And also we plan on being vertically integrated. So this is the reason why we are working on our cultivation location here in Hyde Park. Again, as we just mentioned, our mission is to provide opportunities in a community that's been impacted by the war on drugs. So the location is 54 Walter Street. I have a video that I would love to share. Just give me 1 second, please. Sorry about that. All right. So just want to give everybody an overview of the location, people who are not too familiar at Hyde Park. So, you know, please take a look. So this is a walkthrough with the owner of the building. So this building here, I sold it to the owners back in 2015. So it's been vacant for a while. So, you know, we started having this conversation in 2017. And, you know, here we are now. Hey, I'm here at 54 Walter Street. Just recently got my Board of Appeal. About to put that up. You know, this is where we're going to have, you know, Lowkey cultivation. Take a look at it. Let's go. So that's a quick overview of the cultivation space. So currently, our intention is to potentially bring it up to this condition here. So this is something that's been proposed. We just worked with a designer uh, to just basically, bring this place into something real modern, real nice, and really provide value to the community. So if you're not familiar with what, cultivation site looks like, this is pretty much what the interior of the space is going to look like for the most part. So again, everything will be kept inside. So this is having our lunchroom, employee lunchroom. This is what we plan on providing. All right, thank you. All right, so let me just get back into the presentation. So that's the space I just showed you all. This is the existing floor plan. So this floor plan that we have currently is not final. So again, based on what happened today and when we go to zoning, this plan is going to be reevaluated, and we made changes into the space. So it's not finalized. Currently, we plan on having two levels. So I'll let Mike speak more on that. Denyel, can you give Mike access to speak, please?
Yep, Mike, he's unmuted, so whenever he's ready to jump in, he can speak.
Sorry about that. Yes. So, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
All right. So, yeah. So, what we're aiming for is what's called Tier 3 of cultivation. That's up to 20,000 square feet of canopy. And the way that we achieve that is by working with multiple levels of cultivation. So, in one room, you could have up to 2 different levels of cannabis that's growing. We plan to cultivate what's called craft cannabis, which is a high-end product that Boston can be really proud of, something that's grown here and sold here. Our plan is to hire local Hyde Park residents for up to 60 positions initially. I think that over time, that may even expand from there. There's a lot of R&D involved when you're launching a grow of this size initially. So that 60 number is what we're projecting initially. We're going to have positions from head cultivator, technicians, trimming technicians, sales operators, inventory managers, control managers, facility folks, security, transport opportunities, and many, many more. And we will have parking for our employees at 54 Walter Street parking lot. There's plenty of parking there. And Jeff, would you like me to cover the positive impact as well?
No, Rob could speak on that. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, of course.
No problem. No problem. Yes, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. So, in relation to our positive impact plan, first and foremost, there's going to be a huge and significant amount of community investment, not only at our location, but one of the things that we're really big on is ensuring that if we're benefiting, the entire community benefits. So, first and foremost, you have the community impact fee, which is 3%, and that's mandated by the city of Boston and supposed to go to where it's most needed in the community of Hyde Park. But in addition to that, we are going to set up a community board with 6 civic groups or even more if necessary. And that group will determine where additional funds that we're going to invest. We're committed to doing $250,000 over 5 years. And so the community board that is set up by Hyde Park as a whole and the civic groups in Hyde Park will decide how those funds are allocated. It's $50,000 a year for 5 years. And we do plan on renewing that commitment just based on the business growing and really becoming stronger and mature. But that's another aspect of what we're going to be bringing to the table. We're also going to be participating in the local Hyde Park civic group. So a representative from Lowkey will sit in on the meetings to ensure that the communication is clear between our team and the folks in the community. And if anything does arise that needs to be addressed, we will get on it immediately. Additionally, Jeff and I host real estate workshops, and Jeff runs a nonprofit called Kings Amongst Kings. And so, that's something else that Hyde Park residents currently are taking advantage of. We've done free real estate seminars in Hyde Park, and there are members who are on King Amongst Kings that are Hyde Park residents as well. And as Jeff had mentioned, he's a Hyde Park resident. So we're truly committed to working with you and ensuring that it's a positive experience for everyone involved, and growing with you, as our community and as our support system, as we're looking to hire and really just stay tied in.
Mike, you can speak more on hours of operation.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to. So as a cultivation facility, plants they don't really take a break. So we really plan on having somebody available on site 24 hours a day, 360 days per year. We're still working out exactly how many folks will be, but there will be at the very least a security guard and a cleaning crew that's responsible for maintaining, and probably somebody on the cultivation team as well, in case any alarm goes off, if the heat sensor goes off, something like that. There's lots of things that need to be maintained there. Also, it's very important to note that no one will be allowed in our building without either a registered agent badge or proper credentials. So that could be law enforcement, maintenance vendors, planned visits from other licensed operators, such as other dispensaries that might want to see our growing products. Of course, consumption of any kind is prohibited not only in our building, but also anywhere near our premises. And we will have employee procedures that stipulate that consumption of cannabis or any other drug or alcohol on shift is, of course, not allowed.
Awesome. Mike, would you mind going through the frequently asked questions as well?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm gonna run through these real quickly. So will we have security on site? Yes, 24/7 a day, hours a day. There will also be a very significant and robust camera system that basically covers every nook and inch of this facility, and will be able to be played back for 90 days at any given time. We will not. I don't see any significant increase in traffic. The most important factor there is the fact that it's not a retail facility. There will be no consumers going to this location. We're not only does the state not allow tours like a brewery might, but it's a bad idea when you're dealing with a growing plant indoors to introduce other people. So even if the state were to allow consumer tours of a cultivation facility, we would never let them in. So this will only be employees and potentially a van every now and then that's going out for or dropping off a delivery of something. This is a common one. Will I be able to smell cannabis from my house on Pierce or Walter Street? No, you will not. If you can smell cannabis from your home on Pierce or Walter Street, we're doing something very, very wrong, and our license could very well be at risk of being revoked. We use something called carbon filtration as well as HEPA filtration to basically filter the air and ensure that those kind of odors are not seeping out into the neighborhood. That's extremely important for us from a regulatory perspective as well. Getting rid of waste. Waste for cannabis is, there's a number of things that could be. It could be the inert, just your soil, your leftover soil or cocoa coir that the plants were grown in, that's a root ball. Think of any time you've grown a tomato. Once you cut the tomato plant down, you have the roots to deal with and you have to get rid of them. Well, the way that you get rid of waste in cannabis, if it includes THC, let's say you have finished buds or flower that maybe it's no good and you don't want to use it. Well, the way that it's removed is by grinding it up and mixing it with something that makes it unusable for its original intent. So there'll never be cannabis that's accessible by anyone from, say, a dumpster, or there won't be a compost pile of old root balls or anything like that. The state is very, very stringent on how we handle our waste. So that's not a concern. It's a protect the environment. Yeah, so both water usage and talking about the, any potential runoff, I think that that's what that dot point there is talking about. We want to protect the environment in the nearby river. Of course, that's extremely important to us. We're, growing with nutrients, what you can do to reclaim your runoff, which is essentially any water that's left over after the feeding process of your plants is called runoff. What we do essentially is we reclaim all that water and we filter it. So what's left is clean water. And what we have left over is essentially a solid of nutrients and essentially salts that are collected and sent out with the regular garbage. So that we'll never be putting anything into the water system. Our electric usage, of course, yes, it's going to be high. Cannabis uses some electricity, and I know that there are ways that we can mitigate that, by using our lights and off hours, such as your normal your peak, I guess, electric hours, I believe, are either 8 or 10 a.m. to either 8 or 10 p.m. So the way we get around that is by running our lights from 10 p.m. till 10 a.m. So you're running your lights overnight, so we're not using our power during peak hour. And carbon footprint, I think that's kind of the same thing. There's always going to be a goal for us to be more and more sustainable, and that's looking into using, solar power or other options there. And these are always things that we're going to be evaluating and looking into the feasibility of bringing those to the table. And how often will we be doing delivery? How big are our trucks? I would say that there's not going to be a significant uptick in the deliveries, both in or out from what is now, I think there's a tire business and there's another, maybe a recycling operation that's around the corner there. I wouldn't say that it's going to be much different. Our delivery vans, they probably won't be trucks. They'll probably be vans. Think the Sprinter, little like those Sprinter vans or the full-size E-Series vans. That's predominantly what most operators are using for their deliveries. And they're not huge, so they're just like, they don't really, they won't have a major impact at all. I did already mention that, of course, we will not be selling any product on site. That is explicitly prohibited outside of a retail operation, which this is not. This is only wholesale cultivation and manufacturing. And Jeff and Lowkey will definitely be taking part in neighborhood activities. You might want to expand on that. I know your group, Kings on Kings, is doing a lot of great work in the community. I think that that's just the beginning, because this can create a lot of really, really great community involvement from Lowkey.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And Mark, would you mind stepping in and speaking a little bit more about the safety as far as protecting and keeping the property safe? I mean, you have the experience.
Yeah, so can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Mark Conrad. I own Westcon Personal Protection. My business has been in business for the last 21 years. Just to give you a little bit understanding about myself and my business partner, we've been in business for 21 years, but we've been in law enforcement, both of us, in terms of 60 years, having over 60 years experience. I was a police officer for the town of Winthrop, MIT, in Milton, and then went on to work for Governor Patrick. I was the chairman of the parole board for 4 years, and then taught at BU in criminal justice. I also sat on a board called the George Lewis Ruffin Society, which really talks about changes in terms of legislation at the highest levels to kind of change the way that we look at the criminal justice system. So with all of that, our company has been in business for 21 years. We actually started out at our church at Morning Star at Mattapan, and we've evolved over the years. And now, along with working with Lowkey, myself and my business partner are working at two other dispensaries that are generating two other dispensaries out of that. So one is in Chelsea called Western Front. The other one is in Cambridge called Yamba Markets. And both of them are expanding in Cambridge and Harvard Square. So the dispensaries, in terms of us, we have this experience, and we're very, very fortunate that in terms of trying to keep the community safe, and myself and my business partner, who's a retired state trooper after 35 years, we've been able to speak to all of the police departments, specifically at the highest levels, to talk to them about what's going on in terms of making sure the community is safe. We work with local organizations in Cambridge. We work with ambassadors. Those are the people that are cleaning the streets and so forth, for sometimes the indigent people. They know all of them and so forth. We work with a lot of community leaders within the community. We do the same thing in Chelsea as well. And of course, we, as I said before, because myself and my business partner have strong ties to the police communities and those relationships and so forth, we have strong relationships with the police department. So this particular facility, as Jeff has spoke about, and of course Rob has spoke about, this is not a dispensary. This is a building that will have marijuana and so forth. So our guards will work specifically with the police department. We'll work with community groups. We have been in Hyde Park before. I mean, you might be very familiar with the Hyde Park YMCA. We worked with them for the last couple of years in terms of people getting their vaccinations. So it's not like we're strangers to the community. And so we'll do everything that we can to make sure that people feel safe, secure. And it shouldn't be a runoff in terms of coming and attending the community meetings as well. I think it's important for us to, as an organization, we hire within. We're what I call an organization that is organic. We hire from the community because we want people that are from the community, that know the community. So this won't be a runoff in terms of, you know, just making a presentation and just trying to make money. It is a business for profit, but also we are all committed to making sure that there's a benefit to the community that has been hurt by most of the profit margin of marijuana. And a lot of the Black and brown community, which the men of color that are on this leadership team are really aware of making sure that we make an impact in our community.
Awesome, thank you, Mark. I think we covered pretty much some of those things that we talked about already, as far as the security measures, us, abiding by the CCC laws, for us to, to be in fact that we are able to proceed and get our license. As I mentioned, part of the license process, is to submit, an application, and start this host community process, which is where we currently are, having this host community agreement. Then, we'll go in front of zoning and they will evaluate the property. Then we'll go to the CCC and decide on a vote to see if we, if we fit the, if we have everything in order for us to move forward. So, yeah. Appreciate it, everybody. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there anything you all would like to add before we open it up for the Q&A portion? Nope. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again just so that I can make sure that you all who are joining us virtually know how you can raise your hand if you'd like to speak and share a question or a comment. Okay, so again, those of you who are joining us virtually, if you want to ask a question tonight, please go to that participants panel that looks like a little blue person. Click that in the lower right-hand corner next to your name. Click that hand icon, your hand will be virtually raised. And if you're joining us via telephone, that is *3. So I'll give you all a few moments for that. Okay, going down, I see a caller. I'm not sure, I can't read the number, so I'm just gonna unmute you. And again, you're gonna hear 2 beeps. And if you could just state your name, and if you're an immediate abutter, meaning like directly someone who lives on the street or would be immediately impacted by the. Hi, good evening, caller. You've been unmuted.
Hi, my name is Chandra Batra. I'm a member of MassCan as well as a board member for the Mass Social Consumption Advocacy Commission, and I am also the sister of someone who is severely affected by the drug war, and to know that a Black business is actually opening with 3 Black men in charge who faced the horrors of the 90s in this state makes me incredibly proud as an activist. I've been working ever since 2009 to make sure that we have business, that we have economic equity in this industry. I think the strongest thing, and I've actually seen online the outline of what Lowkey is going to look like. This is going to be a blessing to this community, and I just have to say that I am really proud of everyone here tonight, and I hope that we get to create some generational wealth in this state and turn around what has been a harrowing drug war and what's actually happened to people and the devastation of lives that's actually happened under cannabis prohibition. So thank you for your time, and I hope others will speak as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate that.
Thank you for your comments. I'm just going to go down the list of people who I see with their hand raised, and then we'll circle back again. Lokita, I'm going to unmute you now.
Great. Hi, Lowkey Jackson. Thank you so much, Denyel. My question, and I will pose one and circle back then I guess to other. Yes, I do have a few. So besides, well, 2. The first one is for you to walk us through everything on the full process, business process that will take place in the building. But my second more pointed question is in regards to the air pollution. So terpenes within the cannabis plants are known to be biogen volatile organic compounds. And so when they are mixed with nitrogen oxide emissions, such as from cars and trucks and things like that, and fuel combustion, the combination creates ozone. Now, ozone is great up there in the stratosphere, but when we come down here to ground level, ozone is extremely harmful to humans, meaning that it can cause difficulty to breathe, shortness of breath, coughing, inflamed airways, aggravate, lung diseases like asthma, bronchitis, and so forth. And we're in a community that is within a 95th to 100th percentile of respiratory illnesses like asthma and chronic bronchitis in the state of Massachusetts. So my concern and my question posed to you is, how do you plan to mitigate that? Because it's not just going to stay within your carbon filtered four walls of the building. So I'm really concerned about that.
Jeff, if you don't mind, I can jump on that. And I appreciate your concern. That's definitely something, to be concerned about. So yes, your first question was, will everything be contained inside? There will be no growing outside. So that's the first one. So, I have heard about the, what you're mentioning with terpenes and how they can be volatile. However, that is not when it's when it's growing on a plant. Traditionally, when you have volatile issues involving terpenes, that comes into play when you're really isolating down those terpenes. Say I'm taking, 100 pounds of cannabis flower, just for a round number, and I'm extracting down the oils to get cannabis oil and all the different terpenes. Even when you're isolating down to those terpenes, if my cannabis has 2% terpenes total for its weight, that is something that we as growers consider to be very special. So even at that percentage, say we have 100 pounds, you're talking about 2 pounds of isolated terpenes, which even if those were all aerosolized at once, which we would never do because we use that for flavoring and vape carts and things like that. That wouldn't do the damage that you were mentioning. Plus, our carbon filtration will catch the things that are leaving any odors. If you are able to smell it outside of our building, we would be in trouble. That's not something that is able to be smelled outside. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Lokita, I didn't even mean to unmute you. I don't know if there was a second part to that. If not, I'll circle back to you if there was additional.
Yes, there was. Thank you. And I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I forget the gentleman's name who responded to me. I appreciate your knowledge on terpenes. However, studies that have been being performed in various states like Nevada and California, across multiple growing facilities, have shown that the terpenes are releasing their VOCs during the growing process, not just isolation, and that their studies are showing that it does get outside of the facilities, and that's why they're undergoing the studies, because they have had situations and it's proving to be detrimental to human health in those communities. And I can send you studies if you'd like.
I would love to. I'd love to check that out. And my name's Mike, by the way. I'd be happy to check that out. And I'm curious how that compares to something like a field of lemon trees or orange trees, because terpenes grow in lemons and oranges. They're just called essential oils. So I'd be very curious to see that and see how it translates to other outdoor agriculture.
Yeah, absolutely would, because of course you're in an urban area. We're not in a field of, like
right
in the country. Or
right. No, I understand.
Combination with the emissions and things like that.
Yeah, my science brain gets very excited when I hear about that, and I definitely would want to check it out. I'm wondering about, out in California, they do have some grows that are extremely large. I'm talking 1 million square feet plus. We're nowhere close to that. So, I mean, there's a lot of things I'd like to check out, but I think that there may be a contact information on there that you could potentially send that over to Lowkey and Jeff, and we'd be happy to check it out. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Mike. I'll do so. And then the last thing is back to my first question. I know you just said growing, but I really like to know, break it down in elementary style as far as to everything that's taking place in the facility. So point A, you do this. Point B, you do this. Point C, you do this. I just want to break down, and then the growing life cycle. So it's really the business process cycle is what I'm interested in. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So we'll start from seeds. Those seeds will be what we call pheno-hunted, where we find the most desirable plants that have the best growth pattern, that produce what we're looking for in the flavor profiles, etc. And from there, you have a seedling. You grow your seedling up. to a certain size. You take what we call clones, so that you can maintain those same genetics and you don't have to start from seed the next time. So those plants are what we call in vegetative state. Once they're flipped over into flower, just kind of like a tomato plant in the middle of the summer, or at a certain point in the summer, it knows it's time to start making fruit. We do the same essential process, switches over into flowering. Once the plant is ready to harvest, it's cut down and it's hung upside down to be dried. That is a controlled process where we're removing the excess humidity from the flowers. From there, the plants are trimmed of all the excess undesirable fan leaves and other sugar leaves and things like that. From that last point, it'll go into curing, where kind of like aging a spirit. It's a very similar process, and then it would be packaged and sent out as a wholesale order to either our dispensaries or other dispensaries. That is as far as I believe we're planned initially. I don't think we're looking to get into manufacturing right away. I think Jeff very smartly decided that you want to do one thing and you want to do it right. You don't want to have too many variables at once. So yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that breakdown, Mike. And Jeff, do you foresee potentially opening up beyond one thing after you do it so well to going into manufacturing?
Well, manufacturing he's talking about is doing pre-rolls, infused pre-rolls. So that's what we had talked about, which is something that, from once we start cultivating our flowers and we just want to, differentiate ourselves and start branding ourselves, from the other competitors.
So you foresee potentially expanding into that level of manufacturing?
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lakita. Okay, next I'm gonna go to Lorenz J. So I'm gonna unmute you. If you could just state your name and whether you're an immediate abutter to the proposed project. Hi, Lorenz, you're unmuted.
How are you? I sent a question in there. You see
In the
my
chat?
chat? Yes.
I do. Your hand was raised as well, so would you like to say that question? It's up to you. I haven't gotten an opportunity to look at it. I just saw your hand was raised, so I wanted to give you that opportunity to speak if you'd like.
So I'll just read it.
Okay.
So knowing communities of color have been negatively impacted by drugs, how does legalization of cannabis prove to be positive? This is a multi-part question. It does not change the historical or contemporary, hold on. I'm scrolling down so I can get the rest of my question. A negative impact of cannabis amongst our community. Note, employment of a small percentage does not translate to community benefit.
I mean, I'll take that question. Thank you, Lorenz, for the great question. So, I'm born and raised in Dorchester. My family's been directly impacted by the war on drugs. I've had, a stepbrother who actually passed away. He was involved in the illicit drug trade. He ended up passing due to the drug-related mental illness and some things that happened to him. And so, I don't consume cannabis first and foremost. I think that's important to note. But I also believe that the way that it's been policed, and you can talk to a lot of police officers about this, all of the resources, the time and energy spent on, the war on drugs, specifically cannabis related. If you look at the science, as far as the effects of cannabis versus the effects on alcohol, it's been proven that alcohol is causes more damage in many more ways physically, and the people who it impacts, through what people do when they consume alcohol versus cannabis. But more importantly, once the cannabis market matures, the illicit trade, it will no longer be a viable business to get into. And, and it's just a part of supply and demand. And as our business grows here, but the pricing in the dispensaries at some point in the future will be at the same price as what you're getting in the streets. And there would no longer be a need for folks to seek, selling drugs and engaging in that way, at least on the cannabis front. So it's just one less revenue stream for the black market, if you would. And then more importantly, as we grow and mature here, it's thousands of jobs and eventually millions of jobs in the state. These facilities take a lot to run. It's very sophisticated. It's not something where it's just a handful of folks coming to work. I mean, I think we can do up to 60 in this one facility, but our plans, we're planning on maxing out our canopy. So that's 100,000 square feet of grow in Massachusetts. And the max the state allows us to have is 3 retail dispensary licenses. And we plan on utilizing that to the best of our ability. And hopefully, just Jeff and I and our team alone, we'll be responsible for 500 jobs for folks that look like us and folks who may have gone the wrong way, or folks who come from families that were negatively impacted by this. So that's really where I think we have an opportunity to turn a negative into a positive and just, take one less thing off these streets, that, is creating all types of carnage and issues that I think all of us who grew up in Boston, we know all about it. We've all been impacted by it.
Okay.
Well
Thank
said,
you.
Rob. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Lorenz, for that question or that statement as well. I'm gonna go next to, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this. First, actually, Lorenz, if I'm gonna unmute you again, if you could just state if you are an immediate abutter who'd be impacted by this project.
I'm not an immediate abutter.
Okay. Okay, next I'm going to go to Pascal. I'm gonna go to you. If you could just correct my butchering of your name, I'm sorry, and then state if you're an immediate abutter, and then you can get into your comment or question. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chayoki Calderon. I'm actually the daughter of Pascual Encarnacion. We have been residents right next door to the property that's being mentioned today. We've been there for almost 20 years now. My question and concern is with multifamily homes in the area, and I asked this question, but it wasn't really answered. How are we going to be affected? Specifically, the children in the area, our children ride their bikes there in the summer, they play during snow time. Also the rental of the units and how are our renters and our tenants going to be affected, especially if they're being rented through Metro HUD Section 8. They also have small children. Am I going to potentially now have to or not rent to those type of tenants because of the type of business that is going to be opened next door?
Great question, Pasquale. And I was trying to answer it in the chat, but it was really hard because there was a limit. So I kind of got cut short. But I appreciate the question. And, the way I think you have to look at this business, it essentially is an indoor farming that's taking place inside of a warehouse. So it really should have no impact on, your neighborhood, your quality of life, your property values. If anything, there's going to be, more opportunities in the area, which could make it more attractive for people to want to live there. But other than that, if you look at the history of marijuana businesses opening up in communities on the West Coast, property values increased. So it's had more of a positive impact than anything else. But no one really will know it's even a cultivation facility unless, someone tells them. It's going to be a closed door facility, no signage. We're not advertising. This is a business, B2B business. So we're only dealing with other businesses. So I just want to make it clear, it should not have any impact on you being able to rent to Metro or BHA or any of the housing agencies. Jeff and I are both in real estate. And, from what we've seen, like I said, it's the counter. It actually increases property values. But that's pretty much it.
And I have another question. Well, I don't know if it's a question or another concern, but we had a lot of issues with the bottle redemption business that opened, which will be right across the building, with the type of customers that were driving in the area at different times of night, coming into our property, like cars being parked there throughout the night. I mean, I know you say that you're going to have a high security system, but how is that going to be controlled? Again, my concern is a residential area. This is not even an area that's, that's open. It's very small side streets, very condensed with family homes.
Yeah, no, we're gonna have two shifts primarily, and then maybe a few people overnight, including security. But it's not gonna be a lot of in and out, other than employees coming to work and going home. That's really it. Anything else, Jeff or Mark, you want to add on that?
Robert, I could add to that actually. We will have anti-loitering policies in our procedures that the commission requires, the Cannabis Control Commission requires. So anywhere that's considered our parking lot will be either there'll be cameras that are viewing it, and there are policies in place that, like, there can't be idling vehicles that are not our employees there, for example. So if anything, we may be able to cut down on some of that activity.
Great point, Mike.
And just to add, I would just say that if anything, the addition of having the security team present and us being at their location, remember, let's put it where the goats can get it. This is a facility in terms of drugs, marijuana, and so forth. So we're very suspicious about making sure that there isn't too many people hanging around the area. If anything, I would think there's an extra layer of protection in terms of security and eyes, cameras, of course, our patrols and so forth, to make sure that this residential area does not change in any shape or form. So there's an extra layer that wouldn't be there otherwise.
Thank you.
Thanks for the
Thank
question.
you. Okay, next I am going to go to Zach. I'm gonna unmute you. Hi, Zach, you're unmuted.
Oh, yes. Hi. I don't think I had my hand raised, but I just want to, show my support for Lowkey, Cultivation, everything like that. I've had the pleasure with working with him on some videos, and it's just really inspiring to see.
Okay, thank you for your comment.
Thank you, Zach. Appreciate it.
Okay, next I'm just gonna go to some folks who have other icons next to their name just to check in to see if there's any technical difficulties or if you have a question or a comment. Ramel, I have unmuted you. I believe that's how you pronounce that. Hi, Ramel.
Yes, I am here. I am actually a resident on Pier Street, actually next to Chayokee, and I don't know much about the business, but I am a concerned parent. We've lived there for almost 6 years now, and we've had some incidents in that area where there has been drugs and violence and shootings, and just hearing about now there's a cultivation business. So again, I'm not too much about the business. So I'm again a concerned parent. So I just want to make sure that there's no increase of violence or unwanted presence of um, folks that shouldn't be there. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So I would just, if you don't mind me taking this, Rob or Jeff, I would just say to each and everybody that's listening here to understand that when you put a dispensary or even a retail store, this is not a retail store, but if you put a dispensary or a manufacturing plant, there's so much that has to be done in terms of the compliance piece with the CDC, but more importantly, the police department. I mean, this is a high volume in terms of attention to the police department. So if anything, this is me talking from knowledge. It really puts your area much more on the map because of the attention that they know that this place is here. So I really want people to understand in your community, I know it sounds crazy, but the adverse effect of things happening in terms of, more people hanging around this area, that's unlike it. We're going to be working with the police department along with community leaders and so forth to move this traffic along, if anything, for a concerned parent and somebody that has raised 3 African American and Latino boys. I am uniquely understanding of your concern, but I'm going to say to you that in this situation where it's just going to be a plant and people are going to work to grow, it's not going to bring the kind of folks that you think that it will attract. It's not that kind of place. But if anything, there will be an extra layer of eyes and attention if anything goes off in terms of an alarm or anything like that. It will be a silent alarm. But if there's anything that's going or remiss in that specific area.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, Ramel, I'm gonna put you on mute again. And now I'm just gonna circle back to some folks who had raised their hands earlier. Actually, we have new people raise their hands, so I'm just gonna go down the list. We have a caller. I can't see the full number, so when you're off mute, you'll hear 2 beeps. Hi, can you hear us?
Yes.
Hi, do you have a question? First, I'm sorry if you could state your name and if you're an immediate abutter that be impacted by this, and then you can get into the question or comment. Hello? Okay, I'm gonna mute you. If you have a question, just keep that hand raised and I'll come back to you. Christina? Christina, you're next. I'm gonna unmute you again. Same thing, if you could just state your name and if you're an immediate abutter.
Sounds good. Thank you. My name is Christina. I just wanted to express my support and immense pride behind this project. I think this call is just exemplifies the preparation and the thoughtfulness that's gone behind this project. I think you guys have answered these questions with immense thought and consideration for the community, for the historical impact behind it. And yeah, I'm just really supportive and excited to see the good things that are going to come out of this. And I truly believe that only good will come out of it. So go team.
Thank you, Christina.
Thanks, Christina. Okay, next I am gonna go to Cleon. Cleon, you're unmuted.
Hello, hey guys. I just wanted to call in and give my support to Jeff and his team, Robert, you two, and Mark. And also say I'm proud of you guys. I know this is going to impact the community in a positive way. I heard a lot of people talk about security concerns, but this will bring your community safer. And also it's going to be bringing jobs to your community, well-paying jobs that people are going to be feeling proud to go to and earning money. So I just want to say applause to you guys, and you guys have my support. I am not a direct abutters, but I'm definitely in support of this.
Okay, thank you, Cleon. And Jeff, Mark, Rob, Mike, if any of you guys, well, Mike, you can't see any of the comments in the chat, but if any of you all see comments or questions in the chat and would like to address them at any point, feel free. Up next, I am going to Derek.
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Hi, appreciate the time. I just wanted to speak on the integrity of Jeff, Mark, Rob, Mike, and the entire Lowkey team. Honestly, they're already opening a dispensary in Dorchester, and seeing how they had to, talk with the community and give back to the community has been very inspiring. And that should raise confidence to everybody on the call that they'll do the same for Hyde Park in all their endeavors. Very inspiring. I just wanted to say briefly, like, I think we should all take a moment to understand the significance of this call. These are people of color, you know, in this industry, which has few, if any, in this industry, especially in cultivation. So I wanted to speak on the importance of that. They have my full support. Honored to be an investor on the team as well, giving that back to the community as well. To anybody on the call with any trepidations, these are great people and they'll be able to take care of all your needs. They're from the city and the community, so they'll get back to it, and they're hearing all your needs. So they'll be able to be there to help you deal with any problems you may have in comparison to a big business and people that may not be from Hyde Park or the Boston area. So full support. I'm proud of y'all, proud to be a part of the team, and live low key.
Thanks, Derek.
Thanks, Derek.
Thanks, Derek.
Up next, we're going to go to Erin.
Yes, hi, thank you. My name is Erin Miller. I am in a butter. I own a home. We've been here about 13 years, about 3 doors down. I could see it from some of the videos you all were showing. We have 2 young kids in our house, 8 and 6, and I just wanted to really express my support for everything that you guys are doing. As somebody who definitely will be impacted closely, I really appreciated your answers to all the questions tonight, and you know, we're really excited about you guys being in the community and could just really want to express our support. I will echo the only bummer, and I heard this from one of the other neighbors, is that my kids too sometimes do like to ride their bikes around that little parking lot. So if you're open to giving kids visitor passes for their bikes, we'd welcome that. But otherwise, we're really excited about all the security and the improvements that you're going to bring to that area. So thank you very much for everything you're doing.
Thank you, Aaron. We really appreciate that.
Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it for real. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Erin. Okay, I'm going to go to Marilyn. I saw in the Q&A you said you had a question or comment, so I'm going to unmute you because your hand's raised.
All right, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I appreciate being able to hear this presentation this evening. I do not live in the area of your proposed location, but I do want to talk about the Neponset River. Okay, it's your neighbor. There's been a lot of activity in Hyde Park recently as several neighborhood groups are working with DCR and the Neponset Watershed Organization to open up access to that river. Okay, and you're part of that community now, should you come in. So I'm really interested in how you see yourself as being a part of our community, not just bringing a business that will, you know, be secure and those things, but what ways do you think you can contribute to the efforts that we're trying to create, particularly along the river, so that people have access for recreation, just to green spaces. We're always looking for partners. So you're bringing a lucrative business this way. And we hope it's one that will, as you said, contribute to the neighborhood. So I just want to kind of put that in your ear, unless maybe you've heard it already and you've been approached about it. But I see all kind of potential there. I mean, because if you're in the growing business, that also helps us, right? Cultivation, planting. I'm an educator. I just think the sky's the limit in terms of how we could be helping even young people. Some people may think that's not the right thing to do, to introduce them to marijuana, but nonetheless, it's we live in a capitalist society, and that's a job, okay? And the career, but the whole notions of even just growing. We have Mattapan Food and Fitness down the street running Mattapan Farmers Market. All kinds of things are going on. And I know there's medicinal values to marijuana. That's been well kept secret, right? I even use it for dermatological issues because I've discovered, like, wow, I didn't know it would really help you clean up blemishes and stuff. But it does quite a few things that we weren't told. So again, I'd just like to hear any thought you had about how would you see yourself in terms of becoming a community partner and the benefits, other benefits you could bring to the community besides, you know, the security of the area.
No, thanks for that comment, Marilyn. We really appreciate it. And I think it's important, you know, we had talked about the community board we plan on setting up
Okay.
And, a part of the reason for that is to ensure that the funds get to where it's most needed. And being that you're a community member in some capacity and are part of the cleanup of the Neponset River and the beautification of the Neponset River, I think that's definitely something that we would love to support. We will support. We just need to know the proper way to do it. And I think to have conversations with you and your team about how we can get involved, what type of funding is needed, if it's volunteer work, if there's something where we do weekends where our team goes out and cleans up along the perimeter. We want to support any way we can, and where you as the community members feel it's going to be felt and where it's needed most and felt with the highest impact. So we definitely want to be your partners in that. We haven't been approached for that yet, Jeff, right? Did anyone mention that?
No, we haven't. I mean, I'm currently a Hyde Park resident. I've served on the Hyde Park Main Street Board as a board member for years. I haven't been involved as of late, but again, whatever it is that we need, to get in to be involved in. I know when we spoke to Melanie, she mentioned about doing some cleaning. So we told her that definitely that was something that we're open to, and also being involved with the farmers market as well. So. We're definitely open to any suggestions and anything that we could contribute to.
Okay, well, here you go. You're invited Saturday, okay, September 23rd. There's a major cleanup along the Neponset River in several of our community and our neighborhoods. Danielle probably knows about that, but if I see an email, I'll send you more information about it. Then on
Yes, and
so Saturday, yeah, starting, I think it starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. People in the community can come and help clean up along that river in different locations. Then on May 7th, we're opening up what's called a food forest. Mattapan Food and Fitness is having an opening of an unclaimed it was a fallow space in the area. Now we have a walnut tree production going on there. There will be fruit trees. Community will have access to that. They'll be processing the walnuts so that you actually can go in there and get some nuts and fruit for free. So there are a lot of small things going on, but I think in terms of introducing yourselves to a community, those are two kind of immediate things that I know of. And I'm not the chief mover and shaker of these things, but I think it would behoove you to become an active part of kind of this growing group of Hyde Park advocates.
Excellent. No, we appreciate you sharing that. And if you can email us the information, Danielle, I don't know if you can send that over to us. That'll be great. And Jeff and I can talk and see what we can do to accommodate getting over, this weekend, or even be involved in the May 7th event as well.
Right, because that's just open. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for your comments, Marilyn. Next, I'm going to Lindsay. Let me find you 1 second. You disappeared. There we go. Okay, Lindsay, you're unmuted.
Found me. Hi everyone, I'm Lindsay Santana. I live on 58 Highland Street in Hyde Park, so I live 3 minutes away. I just wanted to echo what a lot of people have said on the call. Rob and Jeff are great people, so I just want to echo my support, and I'm excited to see them come into the community. And I know that community is a big part of the work that they do. So fully in support, and good luck, guys.
Thanks, Lindsay. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Lindsay. Awesome.
Of course.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. Up next, I'm gonna go to Martin. Martin, you're unmuted.
Thank you, guys. I'm a community activist. And before I get to what I was about to say, I wanted to mention to the young lady there's currently a super fund that the EPA just funded to get the Neponset River cleaned. So a lot of that piece is being run through DCR, and it might be worth looking at seeing what could be allocated to your particular area. I just wanted to give you that information. I also wanted to mention that the business model that Jeff, Rob, and Mark are proposing doesn't work when there's chaos in the neighborhood. So it benefits them for the neighborhood to be safe. And so I think, again, to kind of echo what everyone has said, the neighborhood impact is going to be more positive. And the additional thing I wanted to say is that I run a program where we work with developers in different areas to try to increase home ownership. And so I'd been approached by Jeff to ask if I would go into this neighborhood door to door to talk to people about trying to increase home ownership. But I also wanted to mention to you guys, as opposed to just the impact that they're having in Hyde Park, these guys are not only employers employing people, but they have real estate programs that create employers that employ people. So I think that's just another positive to look at beyond Hyde Park, but how they impact the city of Boston before they even come to Hyde Park. And so I just want to congratulate them and give them my support. And I am not an abutter. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Martin. I
Thank you,
appreciate
Martin.
it.
Okay, I'm gonna go back up to the top again and start going down to see if any other folks have raised their hands, or to circle back to those who have already asked questions and I see their hands are still raised. So I'm gonna come back to a caller. Caller, when you are unmuted, you're gonna hear two beeps. So if you do have a question, you can state it, or a comment, you can state it then. Otherwise, just let me know that it's just an error. Hi, can you hear us? Okay. Don't think you have a question. Carlos?
Hi, I just want to show my support for Jeff and his team. I am not an immediate abutter, but he has, I've followed him on Instagram. He has done a great job in his presentations and showing how he can have a positive, or his company can have a positive impact in the community. So it is an inspiring story. And I just wanted to mention that he has my full support. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you, Carlos. I appreciate it.
I'm gonna circle. I see a new hand, so I'm gonna go then first. Daniel, you're unmuted.
Hey, my name is Daniel Villanueva, videographer from Boston. I've worked alongside Jeff and Rob since 2021, early 2021, I think. And we've gone on tours to LA. Jeff and I actually just came back from Denver, and we've taken tours throughout Massachusetts. I mean, you name it: extraction, cultivation, indoor, outdoor grow, all of them. And these gentlemen really are about doing their diligence and making sure that what they're doing is correct. And I would also say, like, they're doing something that's unprecedented, right? And I think I always circle back to this as, the ownership is very key, and they've been on this track for a while, and it's very startup, and a lot of companies, in my experience, a lot of these cannabis competitors have major backing, like major backing. And these gentlemen are grassroots, like everything that they're trying to push forward is based off of like the work that they've done before, and like from my experience and just seeing how it is, it's best if, like, people who understand the community are from the community. I know if there were major entities that were, to pose these ideas, I know the community would come together to, and make sure that it was done right. But they've done their diligence. I've documented the diligence, and it's amazing because, like, cannabis is like I heard the young woman speak earlier about how capitalism and, like, introducing children to cannabis, but if the idea is introduced as employment, and entrepreneurship, and the last focus is marijuana, right? And the last focus is, or the later on focuses are the recreational aspects of it, but if we cater it to like, educational or entrepreneurship, it leaves a lot more room for growth versus, you know, we're actually trying to erase the stigma as well, so whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not, the collective we, society, marijuana is, it's 66% of America already is in favor of it, and it's inspiring to see people from the community really try to like create generational wealth, not just for themselves, but other people, and it's different to say that with other dispensary owners because they're not real estate agents, right? And the things that they do outside of cannabis is just as impactful, and they're already making their footstep on their footprint in our, in Boston, so I think as cannabis emerges, we get to write that story, the collective we, but we have to support those who have already made, their strides to get as far as they have, so I say all of that in support of Jeff and Rob and others who've, really put in the groundwork, really worked tireless hours, to make sure that this is done right, and the best way to do it is to be vertically integrated, honestly, like from what I've documented, the best thing to do is to be vertically integrated, and they're on their way, so they have my support for sure.
Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Daniel.
Thank you. I'm gonna go to Derek next, and then I'm gonna circle back to Lakita.
Oh, well, I already spoke, so you can go to the next person.
Okay. Lakita, before I unmute Lakita, if there's anyone who does not have another question or comment and has spoken already, if you could just check to make sure that your hand icon is lowered, just click the hand icon again, that way it will be lowered and I know not to circle back to you. Okay, Lakita, you are unmuted again.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Danielle. And thank you, gentlemen. I do want to circle back to the question. I appreciate your response regarding truck deliveries. Jeff, I believe you responded via the chat, and you said it's not possible for you to have routine deliveries. I'm summarizing that. So the question arises, it was on my mind, but also an immediate abutter. I'm not an immediate butter, just someone who lives in Hyde Park. But the question arises that if you can't, because of the nature of what you're doing, have routine trucks, deliveries and all that pickups. My concern I was raising was just around the times so that neighbors who live near the facility, not hearing trucks in the middle of the night and all that kind of thing. So that's why I was raising that. So I just wanted to know about that, the truck pickups and things like that. And then my second question is regarding the anticipating contribution of $250,000 over the initial 5 years. And as Robert says, you all can revisit that as you all grow, make greater revenue, have greater profit margin and so forth. My question regarding this is, will you guarantee the additional annual contribution at or above the $50,000 per year rate that you're starting out with initially? Because we've only had, in writing, that locked it as a guarantee, 250 over the first 5 years. But what about after that being something that you put in writing and guarantee? Thank you.
Thanks for the question, Lowkey. So first off, the truck deliveries will be during normal business hours, no off-hour deliveries, and our host community agreement will actually dictate what times we can receive and send out orders off. So there's not going to be any 3 a.m. trucks coming through there. It's more or less, we can't have a consistent schedule saying, oh, every day at 2 o'clock, we're going to have a truck leaving or van leaving or deliveries coming in. It'll be sporadic, but it'll be during a certain window of time. So let's say from 11 until 5, or 4:30 or something like that. So that's the first part. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. That's great.
No problem. And then as far as our contribution, I think one of the great things about Jeff and I, we've been voluntarily giving of our time and also financially, the groups like the Boys and Girls Club, nonprofits like the Bottom Line. Jeff runs King Amongst Kings, which is a nonprofit to help men of color. in the city of Boston really get mentorship and grow and start careers. So we're committed to the community. And I think the most important piece to this is, as a community, you guys have a say if our license gets renewed. So every year we have to go to the CCC to ensure that we're doing our part. And that would be the time where, you know, anyone who's in opposition to us could speak up and potentially shut it down. So we're invested in the community. We plan on giving more as long as the business matures and we're able to do so. There's no such thing as guaranteeing it, because, you know, we could tank. Who knows? I mean, I think our business plan is sound. I think our team is strong, and I think we have a very high probability to be successful. But I also don't want to pigeonhole myself and guarantee something that I can't deliver. If for some unforeseen circumstance that occurs, we can't continue to operate and grow the business. So I just want you to know we are committed to you, and know that you guys will have a say to allow us to continue to operate. And if you're not benefiting, it's going to be on us to to make sure we figure that out so that we can continue to recoup a return on our investment.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And maybe the word guarantee was too strong, but it's still the same sentiments as what you put in writing already regarding the first initial 5 years is what I'm asking for beyond the initial 5 years.
I mean, we're committed. We are committed. I think we know that things can change within a 5-year window, and we're committed to working with you guys and coming with something that makes sense based on where the business is. I mean, I think in 5 years, and maybe Mike can speak more to this than I can, I think wholesale cannabis pricing may actually be on the decline, which could lead to us potentially profiting less. It just depends on where the market is. But we want to work with you. So it will be an ongoing conversation as we operate. If we're able to get you guys' support, you know, we want you to know we're committed to working with you, and we're always open to doing our best to show that, you know, we want to give back as best we can.
No, I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure. I hear you. We can negotiate 5 years down the road if this goes forward. I just want to make sure 5 years down the road or 5.5 years down the road is like, oh, you know, well, we can't do it. We started out that way, but we didn't commit to anything, so we're not going to be able to do anything near that. Maybe we can contribute $1,000. You know what I mean? And especially if your profit margin is growing, revenue is increasing, that would be like, what? So as long as you're open to, you know, negotiating, you said that. I just wanted to make sure there's a level of commitment to still contribute generously and work with the community.
Absolutely. No, it really, honestly, you know, the money side is, but for Jeff and I, it's really more about the impact that we can have and the lives we can change through this. We've been doing it in real estate for years, and this is just another way to do it in a much larger way, in my opinion. So that's first and foremost for us.
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for the question.
Okay, thank you, Lakita. Next, I'm gonna go to Fritz. 1 second, I gotta find you again. There we go. 1 sec. Oh, keeps. There we go. Fritz,
Can you hear me?
you are unmuted. Yep.
Can you hear me? Yes,
Yep.
I've been living in the area for more than 25 years. And a lot of people who support that kind of business, they don't live in the area. They don't know what the heck is going on in the area. On that corner where the business is going to be, there's a lot of drugs going on. There's guns. There is all kinds of things going on down there. For more than 25 years, the police cannot even, you know, control that area. And you're gonna have a marijuana on the top of that area. There will be more problems. It's like you open the door for more problems. And recently there was shooting in the area. Why they don't build something positive on that area? Build a housing, a gym, or something positive. Why you want to build something negative, already have a negative outcome, and you want to bring more guns, more drugs, more problems in the area? That's my question. For 25 years, I don't think it's good for the neighborhood. It's not good for the children, and it's not good for the business. Those guys said they are on a real estate. They're not on a real estate to benefit the people in the area. They're on the real estate just for the money, just to grow the business. They don't really care about the area, because that corner right there, it's a problem. It's been a problem for 25 years. It's not going to change unless something positive goes on that area, like a housing, elderly housing. Oh, and also we already have a train passing back on the back there. There's a lot of pollution going on. Then you're gonna have marijuana on the top of this. There's a lot of people who've been dying on that area for lung cancer. I'm a nurse. I know exactly what I'm talking about. A lot of people have been dying on the area for lung cancer. A lot of people have been dying in the area for a lot of problems. So I am totally against it. And the people have been supporting for it. They don't live in the area. They don't know what's going on in the area at night. They don't know what's going on in the area during the day. They don't have no idea whatsoever. They just want to, they just get paid by those guys to support. They call from certain place, they support it. They call from certain place, they support it. But they don't have any idea what's going on in that area, on that corner. That corner is dangerous. I didn't marijuana on that corner. That's another problems. And there will be more problem for the police. And there will be more problem for the community. And there will be more problem for the kids. That's my question.
Okay, thank you, Fritz.
So Fritz,
Your testimony has been heard.
I absolutely appreciate your sentiment. I'm a father of 4. I've been in real estate since I was 18. I grew up in the neighborhoods as well. I'm 42 now. I'm 41. I've lived in Boston most of my life. And trust me, I know what it's like to live in an environment where it's, drug infested. There's a lot of activity going on. And I really would encourage you, Fritz, to do your research on what happens when a cannabis business enters any neighborhood. It actually is like shining a light in that area. And you know as well as I do, anyone that's operating in the dark or operating in the black market, they don't want to be around it because we are directly communicating with the police. Mark Conrad, who's on the call, is a former police officer in 3 jurisdictions. His partner is a former state trooper. I mean, we are the partners with the police in the area to ensure that if there's stuff happening that's illicit, we don't want it around us. We don't want it around you. We don't want it around your family. And so this is one of the few cannabis businesses I could personally say I wouldn't mind if there was a cultivation facility in my neighborhood because I know the increased safety that this is going to bring. You say we don't care, and obviously you don't know us, we don't know you, but I encourage you to do your research in every capacity on Jeff and I. We have a very strong track record of supporting the growth of people that look like us. It's facts. It's not something that we just hear talking about. We're actually doing it, and we definitely are here to ensure that whatever business we bring is going to have a positive effect and help actually get rid of some of these problems you're talking about, the pollution. We're going to be bringing in a water treatment facility, Fritz. I don't know if you heard that part of it, but our water is going to be recycled. So we're actually not going to be a drain on the system, but now we're actually going to bring something that can help make it more sustainable. As far as lung cancer and things of that nature, we're going to be using carbon filters to ensure, the scent is contained. But most importantly, we feel that our business being in the neighborhood is actually going to contribute to a dropping crime rate. And I think that's very important to note here on this call. But I'd be more than happy to talk to you and we can kind of go through some of the numbers together and you can get to know Jeff and I better. But I appreciate the concern. I appreciate the sentiment. And I know that we're here as your partners. We're not here to make that problem worse. We're definitely going to make it better.
Absolutely, Rob. Just to chime in, I mean, I live in Hyde Park, Fred. So if anytime I could walk over and speak to you and introduce myself, and answer any questions that you may have. I mean, we're from the neighborhood. We're not paying anybody to get on this call. Everybody here is just here to just speak on our behalf, and some individuals live in the community. So, like I said, whatever. I mean, like Rob said, whatever it is, question, we could have a conversation offline. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just add my 2 cents in. I don't own the facility in terms of my background and so forth, as Rob mentioned. Being a police officer and somebody that's been in law enforcement all of my adult life, sitting on many boards and trying to make changes and so forth, you got to realize this is what I live. I mean, I put my money where my mouth is in terms of supporting people that are politically active, that will change people's lives. In terms of the people that we hire, people that look like myself, so they can have houses and put their children through schools and have some sort of retirement. So it's not something that, in terms of teaming up with Rob and Jeff and, this isn't just business for me. This is my reputation. So I'm a little bit older than Jeff and Robert here. I'm turning 61 in a couple of months. I've raised 3 men that have gone through some of the things that you're talking about, and in terms of myself included. So I just want you to understand that we're not going to be the issue here. If anything, we're going to be problem solvers. That's what we're coming to do. This isn't just kind of as I said before, as a runoff in terms of just making money. This is actually to impact the community on a positive level. If it wasn't about, positive and trying to uplift and trying to create opportunities, educate, as one of the callers talked about, in terms of the growth industry, the Ponce Valley River and so forth, which I've cleaned up my personal self because I live in Milton and I butt Hyde Park and have spent many years in Hyde Park. I just want you to understand that this is something that we're going to do in terms of positively impacting the community. And I disagree with you in terms of, and we can have this conversation offline, but I disagree with you in terms of saying that, by having a dispensary in play, that somehow we're not going to add value to the community. I think, you have 2 people here that are real estate brokers that could tell you specifically how much it will be an added value to what will happen. And through time, it is through time that area was going to change immensely. And I think it's going to be an added value. That's all I really want to add.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
Next, we're gonna circle back and Chris Mack, I'm gonna check in and see if you have a question or a comment. Hi, can you hear us, Chris? Okay. I'm gonna circle back to Christina. Your hand is still raised, so I just want to make sure you check to see if you have any further questions or comments.
Oh, sorry, I don't, but I'm just enjoying this question and answer.
Thank you. Okay, Curtis. Curtis, you are unmuted.
I actually was supposed to take my hand down, but I'm
No
going to tell
worries.
you, I'm Mark Conrad's business partner. My name is Curtis West. I'm a retired state trooper for 35 years. I was going to help Rob answer that question from the last person, is that, I agree with what Mark had already said. They've already answered my question, but I want to let them know that I worked in that area for over 20 years before I moved on and done other parts with the state police. My daughter actually lives 3 or 4 streets over from where this is going to be. And to reiterate what they were saying, how the safety factor cuts in, it's going to cut in a whole lot more than what people believe. And as Rob said, you will not know what this building is unless somebody tells you what it is. And to reiterate what Mark said also is, when the police know what's in that area, they're going to be coming around a whole lot more. And the bad guy don't like to be where we come in. When I say we, it's just because I just retired a little less than a year ago. So I know the area very well. I started off as a Metropolitan Police officer, and that was my area for almost 20 years. So I know that area well, and I know some of the people, the players of the game. That's all I wanted to say. I'm sorry. I thought I was raising my hand, bringing it down.
Oh, no, no worries. And thank you for your comments.
We appreciate it, Curtis. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
Okay, I see no further hands, but I do see some other icons, exclamation points next to some people's names. So I'm just going to check in with them and see if they have any questions or comments.
This new facility, it's going to bring.
Ramel, you're unmuted. You have an exclamation point next to your name. Do you have any questions or comments you'd like to say further?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's kind of, I'm not a hater by any means, but again, I live here. And again, what Fritz is saying, I understand his frustration. There were and it's documented in the paper, 50 gunshots on my street right outside my house. And it's a well-known house on this street that has a lot of activity there. And I hear what you're saying, that you're going to bring more police eyes on the community, but we don't want that. We just want to live, you know what I mean? So now we gotta police all around. I mean, I kids just want to like ride their bikes and be normal, but this isn't what we're looking for. Yeah, I'm in support of the business, but just not outside my door, if that makes sense.
No, remember, I
So
appreciate the comments, man. That makes sense. And I think the big part is the gunfire and the violence. I think that's really the catalyst for the police, having more of a presence in the area as opposed to our business. I think our business sheds a lot of light in the community because folks who live there know what it is. We'll be in communication with the police. We're not voluntarily asking them to come, but if something does happen, it is going to be a priority for them to get over there to ensure that it's not escalated. So I think that's the benefit. But I think it's really, what's occurring now that is the catalyst for them having to, obviously patrol more and be more vigilant. We went to a community meeting and they mentioned this. The community members mentioned this a few weeks back, one of the civic groups, and the police said, no, we're investigating. We're actively going to have more of a presence. We're going to be patrolling. So unfortunately, I think that's kind of the only way to deal with it. But I think that's something that hopefully our business stops from happening again. And if that's the case, again, we're just kind of bringing light over there, and like literally, it's going to be well lit. There's going to be a lot going on, and folks who are trying to do dirt, they don't want to be around that. So that's really where we're coming from, as opposed to saying, oh yeah, we're going to be more patrol cars every day. No, I agree with you. You want your kids to have a safe place. You want it to be a place they enjoy going to and not get used to feeling like it's a war zone or something. And I think we're going to help with that.
man, I hope so, brother. I really do, man, because again, being a person of color myself, and now I'm just trying to go home, and then if I get police, oh, what are you doing here, man? I live here. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's not, again, nothing on you, obviously, or you personally, or the business, but it's just we don't want unwanted. We just want to live, and it just seems like, I don't know if we're gonna have to wait and see. And again, I'm gonna have to take your word for it. But I live here, not 3 blocks away, 2 blocks away. Like, I can see you from here. You know what I mean? Like, if I look out my door, I can see what's going on. You know what I mean? So it's, man, bro.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
and I definitely appreciate you sharing. We want to be your partners. We're not here to just come in and say, "Oh, we know what's best." Like, if there's a way for us to do things better, I mean, I think that's the key. We're committed to working with you guys, especially the director. We want the feedback. We want to know what we're getting right and what we're doing wrong, so that we can improve on it. Ultimately, this isn't a retail store, so you guys are our customers. As a neighborhood, you're our customer. We want you to be happy with us. And like I said, we want to work with you. So the lines of communication will be open. You'll know who to talk to, especially you guys directly. Jeff and I, we're a small business right now. So you'll have access to us and can reach out to us and just kind of tell us what's going on. And we'll do what we got to do to make it right. And again, that's if we get approved. Obviously, we're still going through this process, so nothing's guaranteed. But I just want to give you that assurance.
Yeah, and I guess too, again, with probably a lot of the neighbors, we're just kind of hearing about this. I know you guys been doing it for a while and been putting it together, but it feels like we have no say. Like, yo, Ramel, this is happening, so you're on the call, but there's nothing you guys can do about it. I mean, it's like, if you can tell us, people that live here, we can work together on somehow. You got to give us some kind of reinsurance, man, because again, 50 shots, man. I don't know what kind of police y'all working with, but that's some serious firepower.
No, it is,
I
Ramel. And
mean,
yep, keep in mind though, so the HCA, that's a document drafted by the Boston Cannabis Board along with your civic leaders and city councilors. So like they will be the ones you want to speak to ensure you're comfortable with the verbiage in there, because that's what ultimately will allow us to stay licensed. And we also have to renew our license every year. So it's not like, oh yeah, you get it and you're good. Like the city structured it well in that they force us to continually have to make sure we're doing our part for them to approve it. Because if you complain, your neighbors complain, and we're just slumlords basically, just not listening to folks and doing what we want and creating a ruckus, we're not gonna go very far. It's not gonna work out.
And just to add, I can hear his intrepidation, and I certainly feel for you in terms of understanding that you're saying that, as a Black man walking down the street. Understand, as somebody that is a former police officer, I drive a car just like you. I walk down the street just like you. There is nothing identifying me as anything other than a Black man. So I get pulled over. I get asked those kind of questions. Who wants to be hassled in their own community? But the trepidation that you're talking about in terms of the firepower, I hate to say this, but this is happening in every major city in the United States: Chicago, LA, Detroit, Baltimore. It's just happening, unfortunately. And right now, and we just heard this in the community meeting from the police department, it was an onslaught of retirements. So they're down a whole host of police officers in this particular area in Hyde Park. So they're trying to do their best in terms of making some hires in the next couple of years. But there isn't any golden nugget to make crime go away. It's us in it. It's business owners, it's people, community leaders, it's government involvement, it's everybody that will help, shine a light on this. We can do our part in terms of making sure that the area around there is as safe as possible. But more importantly, in terms of coming up with some of the challenges, the things that you're going to ask of Jeff and Rob should be things that should be talked about in terms of what you want, in terms of the economic support that you're going to need to tackle some of these issues, and to have some strategic ideas about how you want to bring folks in to really police your area. So, there isn't one solid golden bullet that's going to solve this issue or problem. But I can say this property is not going to be a distraction for your community. It's not going to add more attention in terms of having more guns in the area or more crime in the area. That's not what we're going to do. If anything, like I said, I think there's going to be an extra added value, because you have African-American men that are here that are very conscious about working with you in the community.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Ramel, and thanks, Mark, for chiming in on that too.
Hey, I'm gonna trust you, man.
We appreciate it. We want an opportunity. That's all we're asking for.
Okay, next I'm gonna go to Melanie Day.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to
Hi, Melanie.
be on this call and hear all the information that I'm getting, that I can share with other neighbors that are not on this call. I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity, and to also say that our cleanup for the Ponset River Greenway is on Saturday, April the 23rd, from 9 to 12 at the end of West Street. Okay? This is just a reminder for all that's on this line that's want to be a part of it. And I heard Lowkey personnel said that they are contributing to this. So I look forward to seeing you, okay? Because I'm going to take your photo, okay? To send it to everybody. So they did make it to the event, okay? So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you, and thank you for the opportunity to get to know you more. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you, Melanie. We appreciate that. And we'll coordinate who's going to be coming out.
Thank you, Melanie, for sure.
Thank you, Melanie.
Pasquale, I'm gonna unmute you next. Your hand is still raised, and I do believe I saw some comments in the chat from you.
Hi, yeah.
I have two questions. One is like, why Hyde Park and why pick a residential area? Why not pick an industrial park where you don't have, again, kids, tenants, people living so close? Like as Ramel said, my backyard shares yours. My fence is the fence that divides my home from your potential business. Why pick such a dense residential area to put this type of establishment? Again, I'm not even opposed to something like this. I'm not as opposed to marijuana use. I'm not against it by any means. My my issue is the area of where it's being opened in. You know, again, kids, like residents, homeowners, like, yeah, you say this is not going to affect, this is going to affect homeownership. Like us as homeowners, it's going to affect us. Like, are people going to want to live next to a cultivation business even if they don't smell it? Maybe not. There are people that are against it. So am I going to potentially lose tenants? My tenants are against it. So am I going to potentially now lose my long-time tenant because of the business being open there? Am I going to have now issues being able to rent my apartments? Am I going to have issues maybe selling my property in the future if we choose to do so? Like those are the the consequences why this, like, why in a residential area? There's so many industrial parks, there's so many different locations where you can open, that's where kids are not going to be affected, people are not going to be affected. So why there?
No, you asked a great question. And so Jeff had a relationship with the owner of this particular property, Pasquale. The other thing to keep in mind, to try to find that type of facility in Boston is nearly impossible. So, and then just the cost associated with trying to either acquire it or lease it, it takes a lot. But Jeff having a relationship with the owner, honestly, was the main reason why this area was something that really made sense from a business standpoint. As far as the zoning goes and everything else, we're navigating all that now. Obviously, our intent is not to harm anyone's property value. We want to run it in a way that enhances the neighborhood and enhances your values. We don't have a crystal ball, but at the end of the day, we believe that what we're doing definitely going to enhance, your property values, enhance the neighborhood. And Jeff, do you want to share more about why you picked this particular location?
Yes, absolutely. Well, again, as you mentioned, this, in business typically it's a relationship thing. So I had a prior relationship with the owner, which allowed me to be able to negotiate and able to get the business set up there. And also, there's that property being zoned in an industrial area. That area is industrial. So, and it was being used as a manufacturing, as a laundry facility. So it has the power, it has basically, all the bones that we pretty much needed. And plus, like I said, plus what Rob just said, just the relationship, allowed us to basically just, put us in line to be here in front of you today. So we do understand your concerns, but again, it also happened to meet all the qualities that you also said as well.
And then I have another question. Will there be other meetings regarding this matter, or like, are we going to be meeting with city leaders and like just to address our concerns and see what they say, or is this going to be like it? Or and also, when would this be going for approval?
We still have to go before the board. So, there's definitely going to be more meetings before this is finalized. Obviously, the cannabis side is legal. It's really more or less, are they going to approve this location? So, yes, there will be some more meetings to confirm if we get the license here or not.
But meetings that the residents of the area, not people that are calling in and saying that they're supporting and all that don't live, again, nowhere close to there, right? Are there going to be meetings where us as the residents of those streets there that get impacted by this going to be involved?
Yeah, no, the BCB meeting as well as the ZBA meeting. Yes. That's for the city. That's really where it matters. These are more to introduce you to us, to kind of see our business plan and kind of get to know us, and we hear your concerns and answer your questions. But no, that there definitely going to be two more meetings where it's the city, the boards making a decision. Those are the ones you really want to be in attendance to.
Yeah, and there will not be, this is the community meeting that our office, the Office of Neighborhood Services, hosts in terms of the community process with immediate abutters and anyone else from the community who wants to join. So Robert, Jeff, Mark, and the rest of the team, they have been reaching out to civic and neighborhood association groups and some other neighborhood stakeholders. But in terms of a community process from a city perspective, this will be the only meeting that we host.
Thanks, Denyel.
Yep. And thank you for your, I'm sorry, under Pasquale, if you could just, I know this is not Pasquale,
I'll
so if
send
you
you,
could just
yeah,
state your
I'll
name
send you
again.
my name. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Chayoki.
no problem.
Chayoki Calderon.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna circle back up. I don't see any additional hands. I see an exclamation point. Hugans, Pierre, I'm gonna unmute you.
Hello.
Hi, do you have any questions, comments that you'd like to raise this evening?
No questions. I just want to say, I know Jeff, and I know that he's basically a leader in my eyes, and I do support. Now I'm gonna say I don't necessarily live in that neighborhood or on that block, but I do want to say, this is huge, especially a man of color, to be able to take initiative and to go out his way to have 3 locations and now trying to build a cultivation business as well. I just think this is huge, and just keep doing what you're doing. Good job, guys.
Thanks, Hugans.
Okay, I'm gonna go to Laura. I see an exclamation point. Want to check in with you. Laura, do you have any questions or comments? Okay, I'm gonna mute. Let me go back up to the top. Azini, I think I'm pronouncing this correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong. You are unmuted. I see an exclamation point next to your name. Okay. Going back down, I'm gonna check in with, I think that is it. Lakita, I'm gonna check in with you one more time.
Hey, is my hand up?
There was an exclamation point next to your name.
Okay.
Do you have anything?
No, I don't, but
No?
I'm not for or against it at this point. I need more information about those terpenes because I'm concerned about the environmental pollution. So I cannot fully support this as a Hyde Park resident.
Okay, thank you. Kiana, I see a exclamation point next to your name, so I'm just gonna mute you and check in.
No, that must be an accident. Thank you, though.
Okay, no problem. Okay, I see no additional hands raised. So again, I'm just going to reiterate before we adjourn this meeting that if there was anyone who did wish to speak, give any comment, ask a question with anything, please feel free to email me. Also feel free to reach out to Jeff and his team. After this meeting in the upcoming weeks, this recording will be posted to YouTube. So if you missed any portion of this meeting, if there was any technical difficulties, if you just want to review the presentation, that will be public for all of you to see. And if anybody wants to be updated when that link has been posted or get it directly, just reach out to me via email so that I have your contact information and I'll keep you posted on that. Other than that, I think that we can conclude this meeting for this evening. And again, that recording will also be sent to the Boston Cannabis Board so that they know the applicants have completed this portion of the community process with our office. Is there anything, Robert, Jeff, Mark, Mike, I think you're still on the line, that you all would like to add before we come to an end tonight?
Yes, yes. I appreciate you, Danielle. Thank you for putting this meeting together, for being a great host, and thank you for everybody for tuning in and showing a great support. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Mark. And once again, thank you for everybody getting on this. I appreciate you all. Thank you, and we're looking to be a great community partner. Like I said, we live in Hyde Park. I mean, I live in Hyde Park currently, so I want to continue doing the great work that I've been doing as a real estate broker. I've, brokered several deals and helped small businesses come into Hyde Park. I moved to Hyde Park because, I've been going to the YMCA and I love it here and I love this community. So a lot of my, my people's here. So I just want to continue growing here and providing value to here. So this is a building that I sold to Tom Garrity in 2014, and that building been vacant since then. Because again, nothing has been able to happen to it. So this is a building that's vacant, sitting there with adding no value. But again, we could come in and create jobs for the people, and that's directly in the community, and that could help them, make a lot of money, and that could help them sustain their families, sustain their homes, and continue promoting home ownership as things that we continue to do. So, granted that there's going to be some things that may not make everybody happy, but I think that ultimately we just need to come to a table and have a conversation and understand your concerns and trying to find a solution for it, so we could all get along and we all could coexist and live and provide a great service here, and so everybody could level up and live low key. Rob, I'll pass it on to you.
Yeah, no, just to reiterate what you said, Jeff, thank you all for having us on. Thank you for hosting, Danielle. You did a great job. Thanks for putting this together. We really respect and appreciate everyone who commented, who shared their opinions. Not everyone has to agree with us, but ultimately, I think it's about having constructive conversations and, giving us an opportunity to prove ourselves to you. This is a 1-year license. That's all we're asking for, to show you what we're about. Everyone can talk the talk, but we want to show you that we're ready to walk the walk, and just ask for that opportunity to do so. Thanks everyone again, and that's it.
Before we adjourn, I did see Erin put in the chat. She had her hand raised and wanted to say one more thing. So I'm just going to mute you, Erin.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I don't want to, I know everybody's trying to get off the phone here, but
No worries. That's what this meeting's for.
I just wanted to address to my neighbors too, and thank you for saying this, Jeff, that building has been abandoned since 2014, you said. That is the one spot, again, as someone who lives a couple doors down from there, that if anywhere in this neighborhood feels unsafe right now, it's that area. And right along Walter Street, we get abandoned cars often. It is dirty, there's broken glass, there's, even when we do ride bikes around there, it's not great. And so just to my other neighbors, like when we're thinking about the space in the neighborhood, about thinking about what that site actually is doing there right now, and your vision of everything that it can be, not just for the strength for the community and the jobs and everything else, but just the space itself, I think is going to really make a difference. So thank you very much. Again, thanks for everything.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you, Erin. Okay, I'm sorry. I did not mean to interject with the closing out of everything. So Mark, if you'd like to say anything.
I'm grateful to be here tonight. I know people have concerns, but something, I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think actually people's concern and their thoughts in terms of raising their families in a safe community, that's what we all want, right? So I take that as a challenge for Lowkey and our team to make sure that we stand by every single word that we said. We're being recorded here. The only thing that we have is our reputation, and I will stand on my reputation for remaining years that I have on this earth. That we're going to do what we can, and everything that we said we were going to do, we will do. So thank you for hosting us tonight. I appreciate Jeff and Robert and the whole team of Lowkey.
Thank you all. Thank you, Robert, Mark, Jeff, Mike, if you're still on, for presenting this evening. Thank you, everyone who came on and gave comments, asked questions, and just participated in this evening's meeting. I believe at one point we did have 50 attendees. So yeah, I'd like to thank you all for that. And I hope everyone has a safe rest of their evening, a good rest of your night. And we will follow up tomorrow, Lowkey team.